It's like the month of powders and face products. So I'm here to talk about under eye setting powders. The best under eye setting powders and some of the worst under eye setting powders if you have mature under eyes or under eyes with texture at all. You don't necessarily have to be mature to have texture and fine lines under your eyes. So if you are interested in seeing some of my favorite powders for this situation and some of my least favorite powders for this situation, just keep watching. So first off, welcome back if you're returning, and welcome if you're new. If you're not subscribed, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. I would love to see you back here regularly. And give this a thumbs up if you like it, because that does help get this video viewed by other people on YouTube, and it just helps our channels out greatly when you do that. So let's talk about under eye setting powders. I just recently did a video on how I set my face to prevent shine longer and to keep makeup on your face longer, and it's helping you guys out. Thank you so much for the feedback on that. And I am going to point out two things with that video in regards to the under eye area. Number one, if you have texture or fine lines under your eyes, no matter what your age, and you have been baking underneath your eyes and you're finding that it's emphasizing that texture, go watch that video and try the method that I use underneath my eyes and see if that works for you and report back to me. Number two, if you have been applying your under eye setting powder with a brush and dusting it away and you're having issues with it either creasing or wearing away in the inner corner, go watch that video and try that method. And again, report back and let me know how it's working for you. I would just like to see if that method works for you guys. So that's it. And now I'm going to give you the rundown on what powders I really like for setting the under eye. And I do have texture under my eyes. I am over 40 and I have oily combination skin on my face, but my under eye area is dry and it's textured. I moisturize really well. I use an oil, usually either rosehip oil or squalane underneath my eye cream. The eye creams that I love are SkinCeuticals AGE, or Kiehl's Avocado is my other one that I've used for years and years and years. So I get asked that a lot, what I use to moisturize my under eye. I apply it, I let it sink in while I do other things, and then I go in with my corrector and concealer, and then I go in and set it the way I do in the video. If you're someone that does not need to set your under eye area, consider yourself lucky. I can apply my concealer and look down and I immediately have creases. I have to set it. My criteria for these powders that I'm talking about today, they become my favorites when they don't make me look old, they last throughout the day, they don't crease, they don't make me look dry, they don't cake or get patchy under the eye. They pretty much just have to make my under eye area look nice and not look gross and dry throughout the day. That's pretty much it. My first favorite is somewhat controversial. People either love this or hate this, but this is my longest, most consistently used under eye setting powder that I have here. And it is the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. And I have been using this consistently for years and years. It brightens and lifts the under eye area in a way that really no other setting powder that I have here in front of me does. I am going to mention one specific one later in the video that is said to be a dupe. We'll talk about that in a little while. This is a very finely milled cloud-like powder. It's white, but it doesn't appear white under the eyes. People say there are very fine glimmer-like particles that show up under their eyes. I'm not gonna swatch these powders because you can't see them. It's kind of pointless. I just don't see the glimmer under my eyes. But if you're someone that for some reason this glimmer shows up, you're not gonna like this powder. But for me, it is perfect. It doesn't give flashback. It lifts and brightens the eyes. It's a beautiful, beautiful, very lightweight powder that does not emphasize texture, and it's beautiful under the eyes. This was my only under eye setting powder that I used for years and years. I use Laura Mercier Translucent on my face and this under my eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and mention Laura Mercier Translucent. This is not one of my top favorites to set under my eyes. I know a lot of people do. I like it, but I don't find that it really brightens and lifts the under eye area, but it's a decent basic setting powder for under the eyes. I do like it on my face, but under the eyes, it's fine. It's fine. Some of these are gonna be repeats because they're also favorite setting powders for my face, but I love them equally as well under the eyes. One of those is the Boots number 7 Perfect Light Loose Powder. And this is one of the translucent powders that looks like it has a tint to it, but it doesn't change the color of the under eye area because it's really just a tint so that it's not totally white. This is a beautiful powder if you have dryness under your eyes. It never emphasizes dryness, and my under eye area doesn't get dry with it during the day, and it just makes the under eye area look nice and beautiful, and that's what I want. On that same note is the Well People Bio Brightening Invisible Powder. I love this powder. I discovered this powder from Brianna Stonko. I think it is beautiful, and it has that nice little sliding closure to where you don't really make a mess, but frankly I have so much already dispensed out that when I slide it closed it's gonna make a mess. It is white, but I find that it doesn't whiten my under eye area. It doesn't give flashback. Doesn't make me look old. I have 2 pressed powders in this category. One is drugstore, one is not. One is the Maybelline Fit Me, and one is the Too Faced Primed and Poreless. I've mentioned these before in other powder videos. They're both beigey colored powders, and they're invisible, silky, lightweight, smooth, creamy under the eye. They're great for if you travel. And they're just really great options to have, I think, kind of all round, because you can take them for touch-ups, you can use them all over the face, you can use them under the eyes. So really good all-round powders to have. It really wouldn't be a powder video if I didn't mention Coty Airspun. It is a really good powder to have. Obviously, it's got scent, so if you're sensitive to scent, you may not want it underneath your eyes, but it's in the shade Translucent. It's got the strong scent. I'm trying to open it without being dusted with the cloud of powder dust. It's kind of got that same beigey tint to it. It's good under the eyes. It really is. It's not drying. It looks good. It lasts all day. Doesn't get crinkly during the day. I like that powder. I don't find that I reach for it a lot because I forget about it. I tend to use other powders, but I do like it under the eyes. Another one that I'm going to mention, my final one, that I was actually surprised that I liked this under the eyes, is the Cover FX Matte Setting Powder. It's the matte setting powder in the shade Light. There's the Perfect Setting Powder, which I've heard that's really good, but I got the matte because I wanted it for the face. And I actually really do like this powder under the eyes. I thought it might be drying for under the eyes, but it's really not at all. And it's got that neat little opening system too, which is really great for travel. And it's not totally white, it's more of an ivory color, but it looks good under the eyes. It is surprisingly not drying and doesn't make me drier throughout the day. And that is what I need from a setting powder under my eyes. So that's it from the favorites category. And I know a lot of you are probably like, wait, my favorite under eye setting powder isn't there. I'm very particular with my favorite under eye setting powders. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. So I'm gonna get into the ones that I don't like. I gotta find my bin, hang on. I just did a video on finishing powders, and pretty much every finishing powder that was in the finishing powder video is in the least favorites category. So I'll just list these out so you have them in case you haven't seen that video, but I'll link it. MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural, Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in Luminous Light, Laura Mercier Candle Glow in shade 2, Glossier Wowder, the Wet n Wild Photo Focus. All of them, except for one, have a sheen to them that helps airbrush the skin and create kind of a candle glow photoshopped finish. And I'm gonna show you on this Wet n Wild Photo Focus Pressed Powder, if I can get it open. You know, it's a really great finishing powder. And some people even set their makeup with it. I don't, because it does alter the color of my makeup a little bit if I set with it. When I put it under my eyes, it emphasizes texture and it changes the color of what I just concealed with. how I conceal is the color I need it to be. And some people really like using these to set under their eyes. They say that it gives them a more luminous look, but for me, all they do is emphasize my fine lines and they change the color of my makeup underneath my eyes. And I don't like that. I'm going to continue with the powder that is said to be a dupe of Laura Mercier's Secret Brightening Powder, and that is the e.l.f. High Definition Under Eye Setting Powder. Now this comes in this teeny tiny little container. So, I mean, you can see that opening is tiny. I don't even know how much you get in here. I have tried this so many times over the years, and I think for the money, it's an okay substitute, but it is not an exact dupe by any means. It's not nearly as finely milled, and I find that on my under eyes, it gets patchy and it kind of sticks to my concealer in spots, whereas the Laura Mercier goes on so smoothly and so seamlessly, and it just always 100% consistently looks beautiful underneath my eyes. This is kind of hit or miss. It is sometimes good, but not perfect. And sometimes I've had to start over with my under eye concealer because it just sticks in certain spots. You know, I think that if you really need an under eye setting powder from the drugstore, you can make it work, but it is not a substitute for Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. And for that reason, it is in my least favorite category. Since I'm going with a powder that I said kind of sticks to the under eye, we're not in the totally drying out and making me look like the Crypt Keeper category yet. I'm gonna go with another one that may make me extremely unpopular, but I can't get it to work for me under my eyes. I love the powder on my face. I love it. And I've actually even contacted another YouTuber, Milani, who I know loves this powder, to see how she uses it under her eyes, and she doesn't because she doesn't have dark circles. I can't even imagine what that's like. It's the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder. I love it as a face powder. I really do. It's so pretty and light and beautiful. And, you know, I mean, of course, did you see that puff of powder that opened when I opened this powder? It really does give some hydration to the skin, but yet it sets my makeup beautifully. Under my eyes, I thought it would give me some nice hydration throughout the day, and I've heard that it does this for people. I think what happens with me is that I put it under my eyes after I've already used hydrating eye cream and then hydrating concealers, and I don't use a ton of concealer under my eyes. I use just enough to cover my under eye area, but even doing that, this sticks to that concealer in patches, and it doesn't blend and spread evenly. I can't get it to work under my eyes to save my life. And I have tried with a brush, with a sponge, with a wet sponge, with a dry sponge, with a dense brush, with a sparse brush. It does not matter. This does not work under my eyes. And I really wish it did because I feel like it would be so hydrating. But I do get that kind of feel from the Well People powder. And I almost feel like I get that from the No. 7 powder too. So I get that from other powders. It's baffling. This powder is the only one left that doesn't make me look dry. This is not the reason why I don't like this powder. This one is the Bare Minerals Mineral Veil. And I really like this powder on my face. I like it with Bare Minerals powder. I like it with other foundations. I think it gives a beautiful finish to the skin. Under my eyes, it changes the color of my concealer and everything that I just did. It makes it look a little darker and not as bright and lifted. And I don't like that, as we've discussed before. I don't like that. That's not what I want. It has a beigey tint, but something about this particular beigey tint just makes things darker, not lighter. And that's not what I want underneath my under eyes. So these last powders all make me look super dry under my eyes. Kat Von D Lock-It in Translucent. Holy cow. Dry, 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 dry. Rimmel Stay Matte, which I absolutely love this to set and to touch up with. Fantastic for the face. Dry, dry, dry under the eyes. Original No Color Powder. I like it to set my face, but I don't like it under the eyes. doesn't do anything to enhance the under eye, and it's drying. NYX HD powder, I don't like it at all under the eyes. That is the one I think I did reference as looking like the Crypt Keeper in another video. Horrible under the eyes. Boost number 7, Perfect Light Pressed Powder. I got this not too long ago because of my experience with the loose powder that I love so much to set my makeup with. I've been using this to touch up with during the day. I really like it for that. I've used it to set my makeup. I like it for that too. I don't like this underneath the eye at all. It's kind of patchy and it's dry. I've used it with a brush, I've used it with a sponge, and it just either wears away in the inner corner or it just looks dry. So it, for some reason, works in loose form but not in pressed form. I hope that was helpful for you. Those are the best of and worst of under eye setting powders that I have tried. And I would love to hear your experiences with these and with other setting powders that you may have discovered that I haven't. So leave those in the comments below. And again, if you are not subscribed to this channel, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're not following me on social media, I'll have that on the screen and down below. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah.